Okay, so a patient in a hospital experienced difficulty in breathing and put on an oxygen mask to ensure he received a good supply of oxygen. Explain in terms of transport of gases how difficulty in breathing will cause him to feel weak. So why is it when people have difficulty breathing, why is it that they will feel weak? Okay, we know that we need oxygen to release energy from food. We know that our blood carries oxygen from the lungs, right, and carries digested food from the small intestines all over our body. And when the digested food contains energy, but this energy can only be released if oxygen is supplied to it. Okay, so but when we have difficulty breathing, our lungs find it difficult to absorb oxygen, and therefore, when there's no oxygen being given to the parts of our body where the digested food is, energy can't be released, and we will feel weak. So the answer to this is therefore, right, uh, very easy. Less oxygen will be transported to the various parts of the body, causing less energy to be released from the digested food, right? From the digested food. Okay, so remember we need oxygen to release the energy from the digested food in our body. All right, let's look at the next part of the question. Um, the diagram below shows the flow of blood through the human circulatory system A, B, C, and D. All right, are blood vessels. So we have the lungs transporting blood to the heart. The heart is, of course, in charge of pumping blood all over the body, but some blood from the lungs will be given to the heart, and from the heart, it is transported to all other parts of the body. It goes through C to the head and arms. It goes through D to the legs, okay, and A. And then when it reaches the heart again, it will be pumped back to the lungs to release the carbon dioxide and to absorb oxygen. So the lungs is really where the carbon dioxide leaves and the oxygen enters the body through the lungs. The blood that goes to the lungs will release the carbon dioxide so that it can be breathed out, and the blood that is transported to the lungs from the heart is also in charge of or responsible for taking all the oxygen that has entered through the lungs back to the heart. When this oxygenated blood reaches the heart, it is pumped through all over the body, through C to the head and arms, and through D to the legs and back to the heart. Alright, so we're supposed to fill in the table below with A, B, C, and D to indicate the blood vessels containing oxygen-rich blood and carbon dioxide-rich blood. We know that the oxygen-rich blood will be the one that just left the heart. Therefore, the, the parts that just left the heart will be flowing through C and through D. So the oxygen-rich blood will be part C and part D. Right, whereas the carbon dioxide rich blood will be the ones that are from the other parts of the body going back to the heart. In this case, it'll A, right? And of course, the blood that flows towards the lung, which is B, will be the will have the least amount of oxygen because it'll be carrying the maximum amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, because the blood as it flows through all here, these parts, it will be collecting all the carbon dioxide that is being released by the other parts of the body. When it reaches the heart, it is full of carbon dioxide so that it can be transferred to the lungs. It can be pumped up the lungs so the carbon dioxide can be released and the oxygen can be absorbed. Right? Okay, so this is really just revision. You should already know this well. So the answer will be C and D, and then A and B. Let's look at the next question. The next question, the graph below shows the concentration of oxygen in the blood samples. They were taken from A, B, C, and D in part A just now. So which blood sample is likely to be of vessel B? Let's look at what vessel B is. Okay, vessel B is here. The vein that is returning blood. It is being pumped by the heart and is going towards the lungs. We've already known that this is carbon dioxide rich blood, but here in this graph we have X and we have Y that is rich in oxygen. Then we have W and Z, which is lower in oxygen. Z is the lowest in oxygen. Alright, so which one of these would be B, right? And Y? Okay, we know that when blood is rich in oxygen, it will be the lowest. When blood is lowest in oxygen, it's usually highest in carbon dioxide. And the opposite is true. If the blood is very high in carbon dioxide, it will have less oxygen, right? And we know that D is going back to the lungs. That is where carbon dioxide is released. So our body would like to have that part of the body, right, which is the lungs, to release as much carbon dioxide as it can, because our body do not want carbon dioxide. And because it does not want carbon dioxide, it will be it will be having transporting all the carbon dioxide to the lungs. Because it is transporting all the carbon dioxide to the lungs, B will have the most carbon dioxide, right? And and likewise, at the lungs, or when all the carbon dioxide is released, the lungs will absorb the most amount of oxygen it could. When it has the most amount of oxygen it could, it goes back to the heart so that it can be pumped to all the rest part of the body. Alright, but by the time when it reaches B, the amount of oxygen would be the least. Therefore, the answer for this is quite easy. Right, the answer for this would be Z. Right, amount of oxygen would be lowest at Z, because blood vessel B should contain the least level of oxygen, as most of the oxygen has been used up by the other parts of the body. Alright, that's why it's going back to the lungs to get even more oxygen. Alright, next one. So, both the circulatory system and the plant transport system consist of tubes to transport substances. State one difference in the substances transported by the tubes in these two systems. Now, this is a very common question. I've seen it appear many, many times. Alright, so let's recall what we have for human body, what is transported, and for plants, what is transported. Alright, so we know that the gases and waste transported in tubes in the human circulatory system, but the gases and the waste are not transported in the tubes in the plant transport system. We also know that the plant circulatory system transport food and water only, but the human circulatory system transport five things, which is food, water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and waste substances. So we already know this. In fact, this could be the answer, right? choose either one because this says state one difference, so you can just write the top one or the bottom one. It is worthwhile for you to understand the difference, memorize because it is part of your syllabus. Okay, and you know that for human system, uh, it transports the food because we can't make our own food. Transport water from the large intestine. Oxygen is transported from the lungs, and carbon dioxide is transported to the lungs, and the waste substances is also transported to the kidneys. All right, and other human body systems to be cleansed. Whereas in the plants, it is very easy. There are only two systems: water carrying tubes. There are only two tubes: water carrying tubes and food carrying tubes, and therefore it carries water and food. All right, so please understand what has been explained. If you need to rewind and listen to it all over again, please do. Okay, thank you.